Hey guys, let's talk some more about saving time on data sufficiency. I'm Mark Glenn, the GMAT mentor, here to make the GMAT make sense. Often you need to pick numbers on data sufficiency, but if you're not smart about it, this can lead to trying multiple sets of numbers, always getting the same answer, but never sure if another answer is possible. So you want to be smart about it. Pick numbers that test for insufficiency. So on a yes-no question, this means testing for a yes and for a no. And if you get a yes and a no, that means you can stop. The statement is insufficient. So let's take a look at this example here. So Juana mailed at least one letter on each day last week. Was the total number of letters greater than 27? Okay, so we have a yes-no question, and it's also a greater than question, right? So to test for yes and no, what we want to do is push the numbers to extremes, right? So let's pick the numbers as big as possible and as small as possible, so we can test for yes and no. So let's try that. So with statement one, fewer than 8 letters on each of the 7 days. Okay, so let's make those as big as possible. So that would make it up to 7, right, each day. And we have 7 days. So 7 times 7 gives us 49 letters, greater than 27, right? So we have a yes there. Okay, now let's make it as low as possible. So if we had 1 letter a day for 7 days, that's 7 letters, clearly below 27, and that's a no. Do we need to try any more sets of numbers? No, because we already have 2 answers, right? So once you have 2 answers, you can stop. You know for sure it's insufficient, and you can move on. Okay, so let's try statement 2 now. So she mailed a different number of letters on any 2 of the 7 days. Okay, so again, let's test for yes. So we want to make the numbers extreme on the high side, but there's no upper limit here, right? So we can make it, infinity if we wanted to, right? So clearly the answer is yes, but just, to make it concrete, I'll say 10 plus 20 and so forth. So we'll get a yes from that. But again, it could be even higher than that if we wanted it to be. Okay, now we want to test the low end, which is a little more tricky, right? So here we want to go as small as possible at a different number of letters each day. So we could do something like this. And that will total out to be 28, which is also greater than 27. So that's a yes. So this is sufficient, and the answer is B. Okay, so how are we sure, though, that that's sufficient? Well, remember, we tested to see if we could get it as small as possible. So 28 is the smallest possible total we could get. Nothing else is going to be lower than that. So there's no way to get a no here, so this is definitely sufficient. Another thing you might get thrown by is noticing that, oh, interesting, this set of numbers here, right, matches that first statement, which tells us fewer than 8 letters. So you might think, oh, maybe I need statement 1 also, so the answer is C. But actually, we don't need that, right? Because look, it could also be that there's more than 8 letters, right, per day. For example, this 10 plus 20 idea. So we could definitely have more than 8 letters. But even if it is less than 8 letters, we have a yes. So in either case, it's a yes. We do not need statement 1, and statement 2 is sufficient on its own. Okay, so again, big picture here. What you want to do is be smart when you're picking numbers. Test for insufficiency. On a yes-no question, that means testing for a yes and a no. And in particular, if it's a greater than question, test extremes. So see what happens when you make the numbers as big as possible and as small as possible. And if you get a yes and a no, it's going to be insufficient. If you get 2 of the same answer, yes, yes, or no, no, then you know it actually is sufficient. So hopefully that helps the GMAT make sense.